Today we will start a roll-up component. Okay, the roll-up in Abinitio is what it will do is whenever we wanted to calculate the summarization according to the group of the records, then we have to use a roll-up component. So what it will do is roll-up evaluates a group of input records that have the same key. Will calculate the aggregations or the summarizations on that each of the group according to the key we specify. It's like a group by operation in the normal select. So whatever the group by we were doing it on which of the field and doing an aggregations like calculating count, minimum, average, sum, such kind of the operations whatever we are doing in the select statement using a group by class and using the aggregate functions, the same thing we can perform in the roll-up component. To do this in the Ab initio, we have some specific parameters which can be used. The first parameter we have is like a sorted input parameter. This we already seen. As we discussed about this parameter earlier, it will be having two values. One is input must be sorted. Another one is in memory input did not be sorted. So based on this parameter, we are specifying to the roll-up component whatever the group we are calculating it. Specific to each of the group, the values are coming on the sorted order or not. So this is an important parameter to the roll-up component. So based on this parameter, a group by operation will be performed. And we will see in front how the each of the parameters will get evolved. Or the runtime execution of each of the parameter we will see how it can be utilized more efficiently by defining this sorted input parameter. And we have a next parameter as key method. Here we have two values. One is use key specifier and the other one is key change function. So whenever you are defining any of the key parameter, then you have to use a key specifier function. And if you are not sure that what to make the group and do the calculations on the summarizations, then we have to use a key change function. So let's say like you have to calculate that the investment that we were doing on each of the department number, then I'm sure pretty much sure that the key will be of department number, and if the data is coming on the sorted order on the department number, we will be selecting sorted input as input must be sorted, or if it is unsorted we will be selecting in memory. But if I'm not sure how the key will be changing and it's not depending on one of the values, like if I say department number, all the groups will be like 10, 20, 30, 40 like that. But when we have to go for a key change function, we will discuss more in detail. So as of now, I am just discussing what is a key specifier. So practically we will see for a key change function. So whenever you select a key specifier, then the parameter called key becomes available. So here we have to specify all the fields, whatever we want to do a group by operation. Then we have a parameter called transform. So in this transform, we have to write a function. To write the function, we have two different modes of rollup. So this is important. In general, we will be getting a question in the interviews. What are the kinds of what are the modes of the rollup? So we have first one is a template mode and expanded mode. So these are the modes of the rollup we have it. So one is a template and the other one is an expanded mode. So in the template mode, whatever the group by operation we are doing using a key parameter, if we can do a summarizations just by defining or using the aggregation functions like minimum, sum, average, count, if you are can able to use those functions and get the result, then whatever the functions or the logic we have written is called as a template mode. And some of the business rules which we cannot just implement by using these aggregate functions. I have to calculate the discount and then I have to first see the type of the purchase, and based on the purchase I have to give the discounts, and sometimes I have to calculate the ratio. Then after I need to do the summarizations. To do all these calculations I just cannot use the aggregate functions. So we have to go for an expanded mode. So whenever we can implement the logic just by using an aggregate functions, then it will be called as a template mode. And if we cannot achieve just by using a aggregate functions, then we have to go for expanded mode. Let's see what are the functions we can write in the expanded mode. So as we discussed in the normalize, like in the multi-stage transform, we will be defining like temporary type declaration, initialization, length, normalize and finalize with multiple functions. So here also in the expanded mode, we have to define temporary type declaration, initialization, a rollup, and finalize function. So these are the four mandatory functions which we have to define when we are going for an expanded mode. And along with this, we have an optional functions called input select and output select. Yes, if you wanted any of the data to be filtered, that is part of the input, then we can use input select. And once a summarization has been done, and if you wanted to filter any of the records, then we can use an output select. So in this case, the input select is like a where class and output select is exactly equivalent to the having class in a SQL, because after the group by operation has been performed, then we are filtering the records which is equivalent to the having class in the Oracle or any of the DBMS. And all these functions has to be defined when we are going for a key specifier. And what if we are going for a key change? Then we are not getting any of the parameters. We have to define a function called key change. So this we will discuss. And now we will discuss the order of the execution of each of these functions. Let's say, right, I am defining a key as a department number. I'm getting an input as an EMP file. And let's take it department number 10, 2010, 5000, 20. Okay, let's say these are the input records, we have it. So if I define a key as a department number and I want to calculate the amount we are investing on each of the department and departments, then I need to do an aggregation on salary field by defining a key as a department number, and the data on the department number is unsorted. So what I need to do, I need to select a sorted input parameter as in-memory input need not be sorted. If the data is sorted on the department number field, if all the 10s, all the 20s and all the 30s, then I need to select sorted input as input must be sorted. So let's say this is an input records we are getting it, and as of now I don't want to filter any of the records in the input select. If we have defined like any of the filtration, then those records will not be participated in the rollup. So the first function going to be executed is input select. This is a step 1, and then a declaration and initialization will get executed. Step 2 will be declaration and step 3 will be initialization, will get executed for the first record. Whatever the input select has been satisfied, then a rollup will get executed. So saying that, okay, so to calculate the sum in the declaration, once the declaration has been executed and initialization done, so I will be defining and in the initialization to calculate the sum, I'll be taking one of the variable in the initialization and defining that as a 0. So now I have a variable called, let's say one of the variable v underscore sum something, that will be 0. And once the control comes to the rollup, I have a department number 10. So department number, for department number 10, I'll be taking 0, which is the current value in the sum, plus 2000. So it will become 2000. So this calculation will be done in the rollup. So once the rollup has been executed, again we have to call the next input record. So the input select will be read the next input record, that is 10th department, and performs the input select. If the condition satisfies, again the control will get executed by the rollup. So already we have, why we are not executing declaration and initialization, because already we have the same department number which is already declared and initialized. So currently we have 2000 and the second record is 5000. So 2000 plus 5000, 7000 we will be making it. And so like this, the rollup will be executed for all the records in the group. So in such a case, for each of the group, whenever the new group comes, a declaration and initialization will get executed, and the aggregations will be performed on the rollup. So in such a case, first input select, declaration and initialization, and rollup. So the rollup will perform an aggregation and input select, aggregate, rollup, input select and rollup. Once the group gets completed, then we will be calling a finalize function. So using the finalize function, we will take the values from the temporary tabs and return the records to the output port. Once we return the records to the output port using the finalize, then output select will get executed like having class. If you wanted to filter any of the records, then we can write a condition in the output select to filter the records. So once all these rollups and declaration and finalizations will get executed, we will get the output as a aggregations. So these aggregations will be performed in the rollup. 7000 and 4000, we have 11,000 totally. 28 department. Once it comes, declaration and initialization will get executed. So 0 plus 8000, 8000 will be there first. Then whenever the next input record comes, the related to the 20th department, so we will be summing up 8 plus 3, 11. And the next record we have, what are the lost, 38 plus 3000, 14,000. And coming to the 30th department, whenever the first record comes here, the 30th department, so for this department, the declaration and initialization will get executed. So 0 plus 2000, 2000 will be there at first, then the second input record read, and plus 6000, 8000. So once the group gets completed, we will be calling a finalize function. So again, I will be repeating once again the flow: input select, then declaration and initialization specific to each of the group which is new, and the rollup will be looping it specific to each of the record where the declaration and initialization has been executed. Once all the records has been read particular to that group, then the rollup completes its operation like doing a summarizations or calculating the aggregations. Then finalize will be called. Then the control will comes to the output select. So in this case, the input select will be processed by all the records, and whatever the condition has been satisfied by the input select, the declaration and initialization will get executed only once particular to each of the group, and the rollup will be called for all the records where the input select has been satisfied. And once the rollup completes calculating the summarizations or the aggregations, then for each of the group, one record will be sending to the finalize function. So once the finalize passes the records to the output port, the output select will get executed whether the record has to be flown out of the output port, or it has to be filtered from there. So this is how the operations will be performed in the expanded mode. In the template mode, we will just define only the rollup function. And we will discuss a key change later in this section. So far whatever we discussed, is it fine? Or you have any doubts?
No, Venkat, I'm fine.
Okay, you Bhagirash?
No, Venkat.
Okay,
No, Venkat. No, nothing from my end.
okay. Okay, first we will see a template mode of the rollup. So what kind of the data we have it? Let's see. So we have many records. Okay, we have one or two records in this file, and this is the structure of the file. The transaction ID, transaction tab, customer ID, date, product purchase, discounts written. But let's see how many groups we have in this and on what basis we were doing it. So on customer ID basis, we were calculating the aggregations. And the sorted input parameter has input must be sorted or in memory. And key method has two values, key specifier or a key change. So whenever I select key specifier, then only a key parameter becomes available. So if I select a key change, you will not be able to see the key parameter itself. So we have to define a key change function. So here itself they said key change function, not the parameter. So when the key itself changing, why do we require a key parameter? So that is the reason we have to write a function how to identify the groups within the function. So key specifier is a function, we have to write it. And key we have to given a customer ID. Okay, so on the customer ID basis, we are calculating the maximum purchase date, total quantity, purchase count, return count. So all are these aggregate functions we were doing it. So which can be achieved by just using the aggregate functions. Then this kind of the mode we call it as a template mode. And here to do this we will be just writing a rollup, but as this is a old version, here it is showing all the internal functions how it will get executed. But in the latest versions only it will show the rollup, but while executing internally it will get executed whatever the functions we have discussed now in the expanded mode. But that operation will be performed internally. We don't even know that how it will get performed, but in the older versions we can able to see, even though we write the template mode, the code will get executed on the expanded mode. If you can see, all are like generated because we have not written this logic. So the code itself has been generated in the old one. We will just write only the rollup function, and internally this is how it get calculated. Declaration and all the variables with initialized with the 0, and the rollup will perform. Once the rollup completes execution for all the group of the records, then a finalize will get executed. This is actually to say this is an expanded mode, but internally the template mode will also get executed in the expanded mode only. But we no need to write all this logic, we just have to do this. In dot customer ID equals to assigned with out, and maximum date, count, sum, and count. So all are like just aggregate functions we were utilizing it. Let me run this graph. So we have 12 groups out of 102 records. So here the results are wrong pretty much, but just to show that how to do the a group by operations, we are calculated under a customer ID because the total count and the return count are matching, and the purchase count we are getting it. So which we cannot achieve just by using an aggregate functions. So in such a case we have to go for an expanded mode. So in this expanded mode we will be writing our own logic. So here we have defined all these functions: type declaration, initialization, a rollup, and a finalize. So here you cannot able to see the generated like that because we have written all these functions. And in this, one thing I wanted to highlight is, so far we have seen like how to prioritize, how to declare the variables, and how to use those variables within the loops or within the functions. So all these things we have discussed, and here I wanted to highlight that how can we define our own functions, user defined function. So the user defined function can be written in this way: out colon colon, and the function name of the arguments is equal to begin and end. Within this begin and end you can write your own logic, And here also we are showing how to prioritize the rules. So this is the first priority. If this condition does not satisfy, this has to be executed. That is a default again. If you don't define this also fine, just by leaving this, is it also equivalent to that. So this makes a default assignment and gives this first assignment prioritized. So like this, the calculations which we cannot be done just by using the aggregate functions. Quantity into price into 1 minus discount, some of the logics as per the business rules, which I mean. And how to call this user defined function? So within the rollup we are calling it if. Within the if statement we were writing it, the function we are calling it. So if the purchase amount of the input is greater than the temporary of the maximum purchase, then again we are calculating the results from the purchase amount and taking the end or date. So whenever the control comes to this and the purchase amount of when the control goes to this function and with this arguments and gets executed this logic and returns the value whatever the condition satisfies here, whichever the priority first priority satisfies, whatever the value that is getting returned by this quantity price into 1 minus discount will be assigned to the out, and the value will get compared here with the temporary type. If that value is greater than with the temporary type, then this will get executed. Again the control comes to the purchase amount and gets calculated, and indoor translate will be taken and assigned with the max purchase and the max purchase date. So if not this is a greater than of the temp dot max purchase, then the condition will get executed with this, because we have defined the first priority and second priority assigning to the same fields. So this is how a user defined function will be defined, and we are calling wherever it is required and prioritizing. So once the rollup completes for all the group of the records, a finalize will get executed for each of the group once by taking temporary updated temporary time and input as an argument. So let me run this graph. Okay, so based on the business logic whatever we have written, this is what we are getting it. So here what I wanted to highlight is some things which we cannot be achieved just by using aggregate functions and doing it in the template mode. Then we have to go for expanded mode, and within the expanded mode we can write our own user defined functions, and how to call that and how to prioritize it, that I wanted to concentrate. So is this clear? With a key specifier we are doing it using the template mode and expanded mode. And now we will discuss a key change function. So the same example what we have used using the customer ID as a group, we were doing it by the key change function. So the key, this is how the key change function has to be written with previous and current. So what does it mean is this key change function will hold two values, that is the previous record and the current record. 1 second, be online, I just come. Sorry for that. So the key change function will hold the previous record and the current record at a time. So this is the logic we have written to identify the key. So the whatever the record we have the currently, that customer ID, if it is not equal to the previous record of the customer ID, then we are taking it as a key got changed. So let's take an input data. Okay, I'll be sorting on the customer ID. So with this customer ID too, we have many records. So the first record comes and input select will be satisfied and declaration and initialization will get executed and the rollup will get executed the first time because of the first record, and whenever the next input record read, then every time the key change function will get executed to check the key has been changed or not. So whenever we are at this record, it will take the current value as current will be the highlighted record and the previous will be this record 28th one. So it will just check the current dot customer ID is not equal to the previous dot customer ID or not. So but here it is equal, so it will say that key has not been changed. So then the control will comes to the roll up and it gets executed or calculate the summarizations, and then the next record comes. So every time it will be keep on checking it. So let's say like we are on the current record 1 or 2 record, and again it comes, it checks with the previous, the key has not been changed, so again will get executed by the roll up. Again the control comes to the input select and reads this record, and the control comes to the key change function. Now the current record is the highlighted one 7603 customer and the previous one is 7602. So here the current is 7603 and which is not equal to 7602 as the condition has been satisfied. Then the control will not come to the roller because we are saying that the key has been changed. Then the finalize will get executed for that previous group, that is 7602 group. So for whatever we have the aggregations calculated for this group, the finalize will get executed, and then the control will go to the initialization and make the variables whatever we have used so far, making it to the reinitialized, like temp dot max temp 0 will be defined with translate and all other will be zeros. Like this, whatever we have written the business logic in the initialization with those values, it will be reinitialized for this new group. Again the roll up will get executed to calculate the summarizations. So this is how a template of the key change function will be executed, which will be key change of previous comma current, and we can identify using this. So this is one example I have shown you with the same functionality what we can do using a key function also. So whatever we are doing here, like key parameter specifying a customer ID, so internally this is what the key parameter is doing it. Every record iterates, it is equivalent to the previous one or not, to identify the group has been changed or not. If not, I can call the rollup, but whatever it is operating internally, we were doing it externally using a key change function. But this is not the way to use a key change function. Just for example I have shown you, but I will give you one requirement. You can just try it out. How can you do that in the key change function in the next example? So let me show you that example with the input data. You can try with that how to do that. If not, we will discuss it. So here I will show you the input data. I have two fields, balls and runs. Let's take the simple case. Every over has 6 balls. So first 6 balls belongs to one over, and the next over again it is not beginning with 1. I just wanted to continue the record number. So from 7 to 12 will be the another over, because all, and we have 6 input records. If I take it 30 balls, then it belongs to 5 overs. So and the output we require is how many overs we have it, and each over how many runs we scored it. Yes, the first over 9 runs and second over 7 runs we scored it. So first 6 balls, take it. So the sum will be 4 plus 2 6 plus 3 9. Yes, 1 over 9 runs. And second one is 2 plus 1 3 plus 4 7. Second over 7 runs. So can you try with this data how to get the output of this? You just take it 5 to 10 minutes. If you can do, fine, else we will discuss how we have done it. So is it fine, Bhagyaras and Avali? Can you try?
Venkat,
Can you give it a try?
yeah, Venkat. And Venkat, can we use aggregate functions in that key change?
No, because it contains only one record at a time, and we don't require to use aggregate functions in the key change actually, because we have to be used in the rollup. We have to identify the group has been changed or not. That is the actual functionality. We have to write it in the key change. So this functionality you have to write in the key change function only, but just give a trial. How can you do this? Is it fine, Davali?
Yes, Venkat, I'll try, but I'm not sure. This
Yeah,
is
that's
so
fine.
confusing.
If I just wanted to give a trial, you can take 5 minutes.
Okay.
Then yeah, we will discuss how we have implemented this. So if you want, I will open the code. This I don't think so. Okay, let it be here. I will open the template what we discussed.
Yeah, that should help, I guess.
Yeah. So using this, you can try it.
Venkat, can't we use any variables kept in?
You can use any variables, whatever you require it.
Okay. Then in that case, I can define one variable by giving the max value as 6, max balls as 6,
Okay.
and I can use. Uh, okay. Uh,
If you can just say like what code you will write in the key change, that is fine. I don't want all the functions, declaration, initialization, roll up, finalize. Just what logic you will write in the key change to identify the group has been changed is fine.
Venkat, I have some idea, but it's not a complete implementation.
Okay.
I will explain you, but just tell me whether it is fine or not. I will declare two variables.
Okay.
Okay. One is the max balls and one is threshold.
Okay.
Initially, I will initialize the max value with 0
Okay.
and threshold as 6.
Okay.
Okay. Whenever key comes, I mean, when a record comes, I will increase the max with one record plus one
Where you will do this?
if for each new record.
No, no, no. In which function you
Uh,
will write incrementing?
uh, okay. Tell me. Yes. I think we can do it in roll up, right?
Roll up. So, okay. Because before coming to the roll up, the key change function will get executed. You have to say that the key has been changed or not. Then only the control comes to the roll up.
Yeah, first for the first record, initial record. Okay. Yes, yes.
Okay, you will be summing up with one.
No, no, no. Then where can we can define that increment? Can't we do that in key change? Increments and
Incrementing value one.
yeah,
Yeah, you can do that.
yeah. Then I can declare one threshold and one increment. Okay.
Okay.
I can increment that in key change function each whenever each record comes. Okay.
But what
And
you
I
will
will compare
compare
the
is just
threshold.
not I'm not getting what you will compare and how the control will be sending to the roll up.
Yeah, yeah, that's what.
Okay.
I mean, for each record, for first record comes, okay, it will increment with one, okay, and it will check with threshold.
Okay.
Once condition is satisfied, so record will go,
Okay.
right? And again, means up to 6 records, it will go like that. And when 60 card comes, it will go for the key change function, and automatically threshold, max number I will keep it as 0 again. If threshold reaches, then I will keep the record as 0.
Okay, you will take it max threshold as a 6, and every time you will be
Yeah,
decrementing it.
yeah.
Okay, if the max threshold becomes 0, you will be taking it as a key got changed.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, it will
Can we
work.
do this?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can do that. So that every time it will check in the key change, it is less than, it is 0 or not. So the control comes to the roll up and gets summarized. Again, um, we'll go decrementing it. So let's say max the threshold is 6.
So we are incrementing every time at the key change.
So that is what his logic actually. Bhagraj, can you tell once again what code you have written in the key change? The 2 lines of code.
No, see, yeah, I will keep the maximum box as 0 initially, threshold as 6.
Okay.
Whenever one record comes, I will increase the max balls by 1 plus 1,
Okay.
and I will compare with threshold.
Okay.
So 1 is not greater than 6. 1 is not equal to 6 or something. Equal to, I will put equal to. Okay.
Okay. Equal to
If
will put
it
it. Okay.
reaches equal to, then I'm putting the threshold as 0 again, and I'm going to the key change function.
No, this you have written in the key change only, right?
Yeah.
Max balls is equals to threshold. You are comparing it.
Yes.
So as of now, it will be 1, and where the increment will happen.
Increment also in key change function. You told me now you can use that in key change.
So you will be writing if statement.
Yeah.
So if max balls is equals to the threshold.
Threshold.
Okay, 1 will.
Yeah.
Okay, but if yeah, I think it will work. We can try with this.
Okay.
You have any other logic, Ravali?
No, Venkat, nothing.
Okay, fine. I will discuss. And we have done in the another way. Okay, we have taken this variable as a global variable. So now we were discussing it how to define a global variable. So far we have seen declaring a variable within the function. So the scope will be the variable of that scope will be within the functions of any one of the function where we have defined that variable. But if we wanted to use that across the records, then it should be defined globally. So this is how the global variables will be defined. It should not be included in any of the functions. So one variable we have taken v underscore overs and initialized with 0 as a global variable, and some variable we defined and initialized with 0, and every time the group comes summing up with the runs. But how we are identifying the group and using a key change function. So if the current dot balls of modulo 6, that remainder is equals to the 1, then we are taking it as a group has been changed. So whenever the balls like 7th record comes, 7 modulo 6 is equals to 6. So the group has been changed. Then whatever the sum we have in this so far will be sent it to the finalized function. And overs as of now 0 plus 1 will become 1, and we are assigning that 1 to the overs, and the sum whatever we calculate so far will be assigning to the runs. Like this, again the next group. So each group will be taking it as a 6 balls. So this is one of the interview questions we have it in the panels. So I made it to show how this will happen. Let's run the graph. Yeah, tell me.
So you're incrementing in the rollout function, right? You're incrementing at the rollout, right?
We are not in, you mean to runs summarization?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are summing up in the rollup component. But the group calculation, we are doing it using modulus operation because we wanted to take each 6 balls as one group. So we are doing a modulus of 6 because whatever the divisible of the 6 will become the remainder as 0. So the next input record will be given the modulus remainder as a 1. So that is the reason we are checking the comparison with the result of modulus is equal to the 1. So whenever it
Okay,
becomes
yeah.
1, then we are treating it as the group has been changed. So once we came to know the group has been changed, whatever the result we have it, with that result we will be returning the record to the finalize function.
Okay.
So with these 12 groups we have 2 records. 2 groups we have it. So overs and runs. So here what I wanted to highlight is when to use a key change function exactly, because in the previous one which we have used a key change, that can be done using a key parameter also, because we are explicitly checking what a key parameter internally doing it, whether the customer ID has been changed or not. But in this case we cannot be implemented just by using a key specifier, that is by defining a key parameter. We have to use a key change function only. If we use a key parameter, it will take 12 records as 12 groups. So we cannot do that. Just to highlight that when to use a key specifier and a key change function. So this is the best example I have shown you. And one is how to define a global variable. These are the 2 points where we can discuss this. So is it fine?
Yes, Venkat.
Venkat,
Yeah, yeah.
can you show me my implementation, my logic implementation, if possible?
Can we discuss this tomorrow?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I cannot make it, Venkat.
Yeah. No, I mean tomorrow means next session. Sorry for that. So my time will be Monday morning. For you, Sunday
Also
evening.
tomorrow
For
there
you,
is nothing
Sunday evening.
tomorrow? Okay.
That's fine, right?
Yeah, I'm fine for Sunday. Only tomorrow I'm not available.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry for that. Actually, when I say tomorrow, then I mean next session. Generally, our time Sunday
Okay.
we don't take any sessions. So as per
Oh,
IST,
okay.
only Monday to Saturday will occur these sessions.
Oh, okay, sure.
The next session will be on Monday morning, 7 a.m. IST.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Thanks, Bhagiraj and Ravali.
Thank
Yeah, thanks, Venkat.